Namaste, namaste, precious, precious souls. Welcome to Book of Life, the reading of the Book of Life. Today we'll be going through the ancient mystery schools. This will be the first degree, lesson 3. So before we begin, just go ahead and sit nice and comfortable, palms facing up, uncross your legs. Go ahead and close your eyes. We'll do a quick invocation. You can invoke to any of your spiritual teachers or anyone that you invoke to the Supreme One of all life, the Supreme Being, Heavenly Father, Heavenly Mother, to all of our spiritual teachers, to Holy Master Choa, to Buddha Padmasambhava, to the Circle of Seven, to Robert, to Earlyne Chaney, to Burton Bigelow, Master Astara, Lord Kuthumi, Lord Rama, Lord Zoser, to the Astarian hierarchy, to the Lord Yehoshua, Bar Miriam, the Lord Christ, Holy Mother Mary, Lord Kuan Yin Buddha, Lord Gautama Buddha, all the great, great ones, to our higher souls, our celestial guides, our angel guides, to Sanat Kumara, the Ancient of Days, the Solar Logos, the Universal Logos. May we be a center for the radiation of thy power. Teach us to travel light that we may better gain the heights and break the bonds that bind. Teach us to give ourselves entirely to thy service, to attune ourselves to thy will. Teach us to lay down the small personal life for the greater cosmic life, and to love with the love of God, with thanks and in full faith. Om. Amen. Om. Okay. The Ancient Mystery Schools, first degree, lesson 3. The Mystery Schools. Before time was, in the dim dawn of antiquity, before recorded history, when humanity was in its infancy, there came highly evolved beings to bring wisdom and knowledge to the minds of humankind. These beings were sent from higher dimensions to guide and guard a life wave of infant humanity through its perilous journey toward godhood. It was a time of birth, a new expression of life at the dawn of a new era on our small planet. Their wisdom was divided into 2 classifications, that which could be given to the masses and that which could be given to a select few. The masses were taught by allegories, parables, myths, and legends. To the select, who could grasp deeper wisdom, the mysteries of truth were shared. However, it was for all light seekers in those times before recorded history that the mystery schools were established. Of necessity, they were and are to this day divided schools. Thus it has ever been. The teachings of the mysteries of life have always been divided in order to meet the needs of the world. The masses received the simple, outer, literal, exoteric interpretations of the mysteries, but revealed to those who could fathom a deeper truth were the inimitable laws of nature and God. Thus it remains even today. Although the birth of the mystery schools occurred before recorded history, they continue to flourish in times which were remembered and recorded. These included the mysteries of Isis and Osiris, of Cybele, of Eleusis, of Sabazius, of the Druids, of the Phoenicians, of Delphi, of Mithras, of Samothracia, and of Ephesus. These are explained more fully in later lessons. When pupils became candidates in the mysteries, they entered as neophytes, beginners, developed into disciples, and emerged as initiates. The training they received in the ritual through which they traveled was, and is, called the path of initiation. Having been taught the laws of life, the initiates were then expected to follow the teachings until they reached the ultimate initiation, after which they became self-perfected souls, masters. In pre-Christian centuries, men and women from every corner of the civilized world traveled to the schools to undergo the rigid trainings and rugged disciplines which enabled them to become initiates in the mysteries. Knowledge of the schools became common, and so eager was the populace to obtain the secret wisdom that it became necessary to divide the schools by name. Thus came into being the lesser mysteries and the greater. To the demanding populace was given the outer knowledge of the lesser mysteries, but again, to only a select few were revealed the teachings of the great or inner mysteries. The lesser mysteries were taught through dramas. The actors, and when we speak of actors, we include both male and female, attempted, through their mystic performances, to depict the working of God's laws through nature and humans. It was made clear to the neophytes that nature is God at work, that the laws of nature are immutable and unchangeable, not subservient to the whims of humankind, that humankind must grow to the understanding that we must harmonize with nature. The lesser mysteries were performed and their lessons taught with very little commentary, leaving the neophyte to interpret their meanings according to his or her own perception. As the neophyte progressed in spiritual understanding, he or she came to an ever-extended awareness of the true significance of the mysteries, taught always by and with symbols. The hierophants, or master teachers in the mysteries, were ever watchful for one of the neophytes to become, through research, study, and meditation, the disciple. This one became a candidate for the greater mysteries. Many failed to gain discipleship, for they did not apply well, nor seek to understand more fully the teachings of the sacred dramas of the lesser mysteries. Over the gateway to one of the inner temples of the Bacchic or Dionysian mysteries of Greece was this sign: the initiates are few, though many bear the thyrsus. The thyrsus was a Bacchic wand or staff presented to those who sought wisdom in the Dionysian mysteries. It was a staff wreathed in grape leaves and crowned with a pine cone, symbolic of the spinal cord, awakened Kundalini, and the opened third eye. And many indeed were given the opportunity to bear the thyrsus through the lesser mysteries, but few there were who gained candidacy into the greater. The greater mysteries, yes, the greater, this was a different matter. Each candidate was taken separately as indication was given of his or her worthiness into the inner temples, into the Holy of Holies, and there, utterly alone, was led through the valley of shadow and into sun of initiation. You were left with no subtle innuendo to interpret. The initiation experience was definite and divine. You entered a disciple, and if you passed the initiatory tests, emerged an initiate, bearing a new name and a new understanding. Through initiation, you were purged of corruption by fire and water and emerged purified, newborn, regenerated, and walked henceforth under divine protection. You understood the existence of God, or a supreme being. You understood that you were no creature of chance, but were ultimately immortal. You understood the law of karma, which both rewarded and punished. You understood well the laws of nature and how to use them in your life constructively. Because the hieroglyphic symbols of the mysteries held no meaning whatever to any other than the initiate, and because the initiates pledged to guard the secrets of initiation with their very lives, the incomparable importance of the mysteries was never questioned by the populace. To betray the secrets of the mysteries was to incur even the wrath of the public, to whom they had been revealed but not understood. It was not needed for the teachers to punish the initiate of the broken vow. Your name was spoken no more by the tongues of the populace. You were abandoned by all. Your friends no longer claimed you. In no place were you offered a chance to earn your livelihood. You became the contemptible one to an outraged public, not by the keepers of the mysteries who understood full well the karmic cloak which surrounded and shrouded the betrayer. In Greece, you were sent into exile. And why was it an absolute necessity that the candidates in those ancient schools maintain these secrets? because again, the initiates of the greater mysteries had at their command an immense knowledge of the vital forces of nature and were extensively trained to use them correctly. Thus, it was necessary that extreme caution be exerted in selective advanced souls who were prepared to receive and guard the inner teachings. Many rigid tests needed to be passed before the door to the deeper wisdom opened, and so it is true today. The fall of the mysteries. Unlike Jesus himself and his teachings, the early Christian leaders thought the mystery schools to be the one great power diametrically opposed to their ultimate grab for power and control. Many of those leaders misinterpreted the words of Jesus, which came to them as literal rather than symbolic truth. Many also sought power for themselves. They believed that their new religion was to be founded upon faith alone, an acquiescence of the followers to the one leader of the church, a surrender of the individual's spiritual ideas of truth in submission to church dogma, which these leaders put together themselves. On the other hand, the mystery schools urged candidates to seek knowledge for themselves concerning the mysteries of life, death, and God, and through one's own soul progression, ultimately to become a master or perfected soul. They urged one to seek initiation and follow the inner path to the father mother rather than submit to a blind faith in the dogmas of the church or the dominance of the temple priests. They urged awakening Kundalini, opening the third eye, self-realization, union with one's oversoul, and the ultimate attainment, initiation. Thus, it was that those in power at the time, Theodosius, Cyril, the Archbishop of Alexandria, and Theophilus, Patriarch of Alexandria, made certain that the mysteries, as great institutions, fell. The victorious warriors of the Inquisition gave justification to their destructive deeds by crying pagan, albeit they were more than eager to incorporate the pagan ceremonies and secret writings of the mysteries into their new religion. The sacred dramas of the mysteries were slowly incorporated in Christian dogma and rituals, but any outward proof that the veiled scriptures lay rooted in the mysteries was destroyed. Thus, under instructions of Theophilus, came the burning of the immense library of Alexandria in Egypt in the 3rd century, from which tragedy the world will never fully recover. Although some of the precious books and manuscripts were spirited away and saved, this renowned library contained over 700,000 of the most remarkable writings, documents, books, and manuscripts ever collected on the face of the earth. Although the great library museum itself survived, its inner glory was utterly destroyed. Any writings linking Christ's teachings with the mysteries were zealously annihilated. The sacred dramas, many of the secret documents of the great mysteries were gradually absorbed by early Christianity in their literal or exoteric form without any explanation of their inner meaning whatever to their followers. And there they remain today, little understood and misinterpreted. And whereas the lesser mysteries had offered little explanation to the neophyte, still each was encouraged to become a seeker for the inner mysteries. The leaders of the new religion forbade their followers to search or seek in any way, but admonished them to lean fully upon themselves and the church for divine intercession with God. Many interpreters of early scripture, indeed, did not themselves understand the esoteric meaning of the new dogmas. One secret document, for instance, concerned an initiation which disclosed teachings on transforming the physical body into an etheric body. Failing to understand the natural law behind the implication, the founders issued the doctrine of the resurrection of the physical body at the judgment day. A blind, believing humanity accepted the doctrine. The church still teaches it as dogma today, to which the faithful must adhere. Rising from the dust of destruction wrought by the Inquisition came an era of fantastic symbolism. Having glimpsed the sacred symbols of the lesser mysteries, humankind's wild imaginings gave birth to weird rites, orgies, black magic, terror, and witchcraft. Masked magicians strode over the land performing half-learned pseudo-psychic arts and magic. Would-be alchemists whispered loudly of fabulous formulas purporting to possess mystic powers. Vile potions, hen's blood, dried toads, magical chants were sought after and demanded. The talismans and amulets of the mysteries, which bore tremendous power for the true initiate, were reproduced, degraded, and commercialized. Those who had earlier demanded and received the teachings of the lesser mysteries now debauched and degenerated them into fantastical festivities and orgies which could lay no claim to the mysteries, either greater or lesser. The rebirth of the mysteries. Amid the slime and soil of the age of darkness which followed both Inquisitions, 3rd and 12th centuries, lay the gem of the gods, the mysteries, waiting, watching, reposing in the shadow of dogmatic ignorance, its treasures passing quietly from teacher to disciple, awaiting the dawn of a new day. The fires of the temple altars, extinguished by the sword of the fanatics, were rekindled in the hearts of those who had received the Logos, the Word. They buried deep the philosopher's stone, and they camouflaged securely their Ark of the Covenant. Their arcane secrets were written and disguised so that only the wise could decipher them. As we evolved into the last half of the Piscean age, these mysteries began manifesting themselves in many ways, despite opposition from established Christian churches, which was through the Masonic order bearing symbol of the square and compass. Emerging cautiously, these mystery school of Freemasons suffered probably the most severe destruction of all the schools that fell at the hands of the Inquisition. Surviving the destruction, its true antiquity cannot be traced, for its birth upon the earth plane lies beyond mortal knowledge. Then appeared the mystic rose, the symbol of the Rosicrucians. Next came the cross and serpent and the six-pointed star, the symbol of the Theosophists. Almost concurrently, the religion of modern spiritualism was born, a religion which bears no popular symbol. Its birth was stormy and its agonies many. Other schools were formed under different symbols, each representing a ray of the divine approaching light, each bearing a seed of a secret which was to become its own particular gift to its own particular group of New Age souls. The rising of a new light. And then, almost simultaneously with the splitting of the atom in this new atomic age, there appeared the seven-pointed star of Astara, with the opened lotus shining in its heart. It bore the commitment to embrace within itself the mystical within all religions, all philosophies, to harmonize them under one luminous light. As it sent one point of its star receding into antiquity, so that the treasures, the mystical spirituality of the ancient past and ancient wisdom, might be made an integral part of its teachings, while another star projected into the turbulent future, that humanity might combine its newfound atom with the musty scriptures, to reconcile religion with science, to merge the star of the west with the lotus of the east. Therefore, the ultimate purpose of Astara was and is to project the belief that 1. All major religions are good. 2. People of all faiths can find a common spiritual philosophy of life. It is not the aim of Astara to teach one religion for all, but the exact opposite, to embrace all in Astara, so that the followers of all faiths, All philosophies may find spiritual, metaphysical strength in Astara. All may come into Astara no matter what their religion, keeping their own ideas, their own beliefs. They may come into Astara bringing their own religion with them, or perhaps they decided on no religion at all and feel welcome. There is a poem that best illustrates Astara's purpose. The high soul climbs the high way, and the low soul gropes the low. And in between, on the misty flats, the rest drift to and fro. The low soul could not climb the high road. His or her feet are not yet strong enough to scale the heights. Our aim is to transform this one into the high soul, to help each soul build within itself such innate light that it can not only climb the highway, but lift up others who will drift to and fro. In the early mysteries, the initiates spoke of periodically retiring into glass eggs in which they rested and observed for a certain period of time, after which they broke their eggs and emerged again. We understand well the implication. It referred to a withdrawal of the mysteries and the initiates until a certain sign would cause them to emerge again. These periods are regulated by astronomical cycles and charted by signs of the zodiac. We also understand well the ancient hieroglyph which states, when the sixth sign is the life giver, then will the little ones come forth again. The sixth sign refers to the sixth dispensation of the fourth round of evolution for our life wave, into which we enter during the first 40 years of the 20th century. The little ones refer to the initiates of the mysteries who, breaking the glass eggs of their pure causal form or force fields on the higher planes, came down to emerge or to be reborn on earth again to reestablish the mysteries. A mystery school today teaches the inner truths of both the lesser and the greater mysteries. Astara is such a school. It guides the seeker toward the inner mysteries of life, death, God, humankind, and the ultimate initiation, immortality. The first step on your journey is completed. It is but the beginning of many. Next are pictures of Robert and Earlyne, taken in 1951 and in 1991. That would be Lesson 3, page 11. About the author. The lessons of Astara's degrees are principally the results of hundreds of hours of channeling and many lifetimes of one soul whose purpose in incarnation as Earlyne Chaney was to birth these truths for humanity. This work to bring into objective incarnation the subtle and subjective inner plane truths of the ancient wisdom is indeed no less a childbearing than is a more familiar process of bringing a human child into the world. Though these ageless truths are as old as time and space and have been taught in one form or another since humankind developed sentience, there is a grand plan of the ages that demands that be born again and again, arrayed each time in new thoughts and new words, fitted to the modern world in which they are being re-embodied. And this in turn means that upon each new sending, the teachings must seek and find a new channel of expression. In this Aquarian age, Earlyne is one such soul, working as scribe to channel these truths from her teachers and spiritual guides, as well as humankind's avatars. The strain of channeling was often overwhelming for Earlyne. In the preparatory period, she told me, her mind would seem to stand still in breathless anticipation while a high quivering note, a soundless sound, perhaps an angelic mantra, seemed to vibrate through her as if spiritual forces were turning an earth-made radio receiver into a wavelength it has difficulty in receiving. In a silence so intense that no words can describe it, she explained, The sending would begin to come through her consciousness, sometimes slowly, sometimes seemingly with the speed of light. The impulse flowed in, demanding to be clothed with appropriate name and form. The words and phrases, the visual images, the diagrams necessary for communication had to be ready for instant use, for the impulse was impatient with an irresistible and cosmic force. It would not wait, nor would it be denied. When the sending ceased, the accompanying ecstasy and exhilaration receded. The physical world would come back again to Earlyne, solid and substantial, no longer elastic to the shaping hand of thought. After each of these sendings, she would almost collapse from the exhaustion brought about by this level of channeling. This was only the spiritual part of the total task. The tension that held her taut and receptive to her task gave way to the relentless urge that drove and held the scribe to her wording. For there was still work to be done, plotting, pedestrian work, punctuation, polishing, perfecting, to fit the sendings for the printed page. Sometimes the command came through, prepare this part of the lesson from your exoteric earth plane resources. Research it. Dig it out by your own efforts from your earth places, where it is even now hidden from an earlier sending. Other times, she had to research and explain many esoteric concepts with which she was unfamiliar before she could put it in the lesson form. Some of the research took months, sometimes a year or more, but faith, and the sure knowing that those who seek are never sent on a wholly false and fruitless journey sustained her. The research material and the inspired sendings were finally assembled and her principal purpose achieved. You, whose knowing is enlarged in these teachings, whose lives are enriched by this wisdom, you should know also that behind this smooth and finished work there was a time of travail for Earlyne, for without such, no good great thing can come into manifested being. I know Earlyne, have known her almost from the beginning of her Astarian epic. Often I sat quietly with her and her husband Robert, as that tight cord of creative tension grew tauter and tauter within her. We have spoken gently together, the three of us, upon many cherished occasions. To one another we have bared our inner thoughts, unafraid and unashamed. We have marveled sometimes at the grandeur and greatness of the mystic hidden truths, the relentless and driving energy we call life, that inexplicable sentient awareness we know as consciousness, that mystic function we call mind. Often we have spoken softly of the teachings that come again and again to this small planet Earth, about the glories and failures of those who have gone before and, upon rare occasion, about the work remaining to be done. She has voiced in two simple words, why me? The hopes and fears of all those who have ventured upon the lighted path, freighted with the endless task of teaching. Earlyne gave up a career in the world of theater and cinema to resume her unfinished assignment that began in her earlier lifetimes. She is a messenger who receives the sendings intuitionally as she sits in receptive, meditative silence with a light like an inner light bulb turned on in her brain. She writes almost as if taking dictation when in this mode of reception. At other times, and upon other occasions, she picks up the spade of the digger, even as you and I, the grubs, through exoteric sources. Guided by unseen teachers, she intuitionally screens out the golden nuggets of truth from the detritus of error and misunderstanding. She too wears upon her palms the calluses of the patient scholar. Along with the task of becoming a mother and bringing into the world their daughter Sita, Earlyne has brought forth these lessons of Astara's degrees, teachings which are ageless, and you who study them will discover you can touch her genius and her dedication in this great work of hers. For surely the essence, the innermost distillations of her joyous strivings is to be found in these pages. Author and teacher, Burton Bigelow. Advanced teachings for the spiritual student. Your preliminary groundwork has been completed. The more enlightening exoteric or esoteric mysteries, the more powerful metaphysical concepts, the more profound secret traditions are all ahead. Life's bountiful rewards, those who exceed their own seeming boundaries and press on into the beyond of their own minds and inner capabilities. Life says, the deeper of my mysteries you probe, the greater my blessings you earn. And that possibility is precisely what lies ahead for you and I in lesson 4 and 5 of Astara's Book of Life. Your guidance to some of these deeper mysteries continues in the next lessons, beginning with the cosmic chemistry of prayer in lesson 4. Lesson 5 follows with Astara and the portals to initiation. Learn of the master teachers, the saints or highly advanced spiritual souls, past and present, who have graced Astara's healing work for each member and guided its teachings. Lesson 4 focuses on just one facet through which they have willingly served throughout the ages and reveals important, life-changing preliminary steps on how, through the 4 steps given, you will learn the deeper meaning of the power of prayer. Learn, too, how you can become an active participant in the healing work of these great teachers. Lesson 5 will take you back in time to the foundation on this earth plane, to the workings of the mysteries and the forming and purpose of ever-increasing density of spirit manifesting in the body, and the divine order which remains steadfast throughout the epochs of evolution. Thus, learn how your spirit descended into your physical body. Discover Astara's role as one of the current mystery schools, all of which were originally born of the first manifestations, in preserving the ancient mystery roots which have always borne witness to the light of a new age, and why that time is now. As you continue your study of Astara's Book of Life and gain the rewards of its advanced teachings, you will further appreciate the fact that what you become tomorrow depends upon what you learn today. When we say Astara is a church of all religions, we mean that we have Baptist and Buddhist, Methodist and Muslim, Catholic and Confucianist, Jesuit and Jew, Hindu and Hermeticist, followers of the goddess religions and nature-based spirituality, all children of the Supreme One, and as such, find a welcome in Astara and Astarianry. All these religions and more are discussed and their mystical teachings explored in the lessons. And seekers of all religions have found Astara's teachings a wonderful addition to their own religious beliefs. The infinite being is called by diverse names: Jehovah, Zeus, Allah, Father, Mother, Brahm. But there is only one Father, Mother, God. Truly, it must matter little what titles of denomination or sect we bear, so long as we recognize that we all have a divine cosmic connection that allows for ever-evolving levels of awareness and love, encouraging each toward his or her own faith. Our teachings are primarily from the mystical Christian viewpoint. Thus, Astara's lessons are built upon a foundation of mystical Christianity, while also including teaching and revering the mystical tenets of many of the great religions and spiritual movements. In these pages, we pay reverent homage to the mysteries and teachings of the way-showers and avatars who, like Jesus, are all divine children of the universal consciousness. Well, that will be it for third degree lesson 4. Namaste, namaste, precious, precious souls. Thank you so, so much for joining us. And we'll see you next week for Cosmic Chemistry of Prayer and Steps to Healing, first degree, lesson 4.